Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Webclass. My name is Julian.
And I'm Catherine.
And today we're going to show you how to achieve your goals and transform your life this year without willpower, self-sabotage, or failure. Are you ready to get started? We're really super excited to be here, aren't we, Catherine?
We certainly are, and we're excited that you're here with us. Now, we're guessing that for a lot of you, this probably isn't the first time you've thought about achieving your goals or changing your life. You might even have been on another training or webinar about it. So the first thing I want to mention is that if you've set goals before or tried to make changes in your life before and failed to achieve them in the past,
it's not your fault.
Okay. You know, there's so much information out there that it can be confusing.
Absolutely.
And although there's a lot of talk about setting goals, there's this little known thing that hardly anyone is talking about when it comes to your goals. And it's the very thing that makes you more likely to fail. But when you learn it and use it, you'll see a huge difference in achieving your goals and how fast you can transform your life.
So, if you've been concerned in the past that you can't achieve your goals and make changes in your life, we want to put those fears to rest. You can do this. You just need it explained and shown how, and we're here to show you just that.
And as for all those who want to write your script for you, who want to keep you stuck where they are, who want you to think that you can't achieve your goals and transform your life, we're here to tell you that they are wrong. They have their own reasons for wanting you to think that and are probably afraid to take charge of their own life.
So if you've ever thought they want you to fail, or at least to stay where you are, you're probably right. That way they don't feel bad for settling and not going after their own goals and dreams. But we care about your success and want to see you living the life you want. So that's what we're here for. We know you have goals you want to achieve and changes you want to make for you and your family. And we're here to show you how to make that happen.
So our goal for this presentation today is to help you make your goals a reality and in doing so, transform your life. Because that's what happens when you make your goals reality, isn't it? Your life will change. You know, maybe you want to start your own business or take the business that you've got to the next level. Or maybe you'd like to become a freelancer or work from home, start a new career, maybe get a promotion, write a book, be fit and healthy, be slim, find love, have a great relationship with the love you've already got, have more creativity, have freedom, maybe have time doing what you want to do with the people you want to be with. And most importantly of all, maybe you want to take charge and make it happen without failing or nothing changing. Our goal today is to show you a way to do just that.
But who are we? Who are Catherine and Julian? You might be wondering why we're qualified to speak on this subject. Well, speaking of qualifications, here's some of ours. Well, perhaps I should say, here's one of mine. I have a Bachelor of Education honours degree, and I think Catherine has all the rest of those.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it, like that? But you do have one very important, well, actually maybe two important certificates.
Ah, are you talking about that all-important life-saving certificate?
Ah, yes, you see. Now, they're real skills.
And the cycling proficiency. Although I have a cycling proficiency certificate, you seem to be pulling me along on the bicycle. So maybe I wasn't very good at that after all.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, we've worked in education and training for nearly 40 years between us. It doesn't look like it, does it? Helping thousands of people making changes and achieving their goals. And we're listened to by thousands of people every month from all over the world, 169 countries at the last count, on our award-winning Changeability podcast.
And we've spoken on the BBC Radio, other podcasts, and as keynote speakers at Shell and IBM in London, talking about some of our favourite subjects, goals and change.
Oh, and did we mention that we're married, in case you hadn't actually guessed? We're actually married to each other, even though we have different surnames. My name is Illman and Catherine's is Bryant, but she didn't want to somehow take my name. I don't know why that was.
Didn't want to be an ill man.
Anyway, we live in Suffolk in England with Dude, our dog. And we also have a real son by the name of Alexander. And that's a little bit about us. But more importantly, how do we get here to this point where we're here with you today?
Well, a few years ago, I was working as a director in education for the government. It was an excellent, high powered job with lots of responsibility and a multi-million pound budget. And as you can imagine, it was full on with many differing pressures and long hours. And I don't need to tell you that work never comes in isolation. And at the same time, I was busy trying to be a good mother to our son and a wife to Julian.
You were a
And
good wife to me.
I didn't say good wife, did I? I just said a wife.
Ah, okay.
I just realised that. Doing my bit in the home. And I was a school governor as well at the time and an elected town councillor, which meant lots of meetings in my so-called free time. So when it came to a work-life balance, if I'm honest, I didn't have any really. It just sort of merged into one frantic, frenetic, fast-paced whirl of activity. And I was sort of driven, but there were moments when life seemed out of control in this sea of competing demands and pressures, job and family and home life and community work and friendships. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure you've got your own demands. But the thing that I felt most pressured about was my work. It's what consumed the biggest part of my day and week, both physically and mentally. And I began to long for more time to myself, to do what I wanted to do, more time with my dog Dude and, and with Julian.
Hopefully not necessarily in that order.
No, of course not. And less time at the beck and call of my employer. And I yearned for control over my time and more flexibility and creativity in my life. So I explored if I could reduce the number of days that I worked in a week. And it quickly became apparent that this would not be possible given my current work role. And it became increasingly clear to me that the best way, maybe the only way to get the changes I wanted was to find a way out, but not just any old way out. I didn't want to jump out of the frying pan into the fire by changing my job and getting something just as demanding and draining, but where I was new and could therefore end up in a worse position. I wanted to change my lifestyle more, to put an end to that Sunday night feeling. Do you know the one?
Oh, I remember it well.
That sort of slight sinking feeling that creeps up on you as Sunday night looms and the sort of pressures of the week ahead sort of crowd into your head. And the only way to get the flexibility, time, and this sense of control that I craved seemed to me to be by working for myself. And that became my secret hidden goal.
Oh, there you are, look.
Yeah, there's me being all secretive. So why a secret goal? Well, probably for two reasons. You see, the best thing I really liked about my job was the salary. And I just didn't know if I could give it up. This considerable income, really, and the financial security that came with it, let alone the decent pension if I stayed there another 15 or 16 years or more. And I needed some financial security because, after all, I had a mortgage to pay. And I worried how long I could survive with that income and what would I start earning and when would I start earning? How much would it be? Would it be worth it? Was it realistic or sensible to give up what most people would think of as a great job and career, and for what? But more than this, and this is the other reason, I was a bit scared inside. I think I'd grown accustomed to success and I saw myself as good at what I did. I'd succeeded academically.
Well, there you are, look.
Yeah, it was second time round, but that's a story for another time. With a first-class Bachelor of Science honours degree and a MA, a Master of Arts with distinction. And I'd worked up my way in my career in education and training, from being a research assistant to tutor to research fellow to manager to director. And I had to admit that I rather liked seeing myself as a success. It had become a part of who I was, or who I thought I was. There was a lot of self-esteem and self-worth tied up there, really. I suppose it was all to do with this sort of sense of status. But maybe even deeper down, I think I was worried that this was what people liked about me. What would happen if I left my job and I tried something else and it didn't work out? How would I feel? How would others see me? Would they still like me or even love me? Would they think I was a terrible wife or mother for not being a good provider and doing my bit? So, on the one hand, I struggled with the notion of financial security, and on the other, it was internal thoughts of success or not success and self-esteem. And the upshot of all that was that I didn't actually do anything about it. And this vague goal I had was more of a wish than a goal. So I carried on in the hope that things would get better, but things didn't get any better. In fact, they got worse. And the big problem was that the government was making cutbacks, which meant less funding going into the interesting, fulfilling parts of my work. Now, that would be bad enough, but there were rumours of a big organisational restructuring flying around, which, if they were right, would mean a tripling of my region that my area covered and an office move from 10 miles away to a 150-mile round trip. Imagine, instead of more time and control, I'd have less. It would mean much more driving, hundreds of miles a week, and more time away from home, and less time doing the rewarding work that I liked. True, it would still be a good job with a good salary, regular salary, and I didn't want to seem ungrateful, but it would be taking me further away from my dreams. And I could see my vague goals of reducing my workload or even doing my own thing from home receding further into the distance. Then one day, almost as if by chance, something happened. It was early in the morning and I'd already been up for hours to drive the 156 miles to our headquarters. An important meeting was being held where we'd find out if the rumours were true and what the reorganisation would look like. And I remember it was a cold, miserable, grey, drizzly, damp Tuesday in February. And I'd been on the road for nearly 3 hours. I was tired and hungry and I was really looking forward to a hot cup of tea. And as I came up the slip road to join the motorway for the last part of my journey, through the windscreen wipers I could see all the red lights of the cars ahead reflected in the grey, wet road in front of me. And it dawned on me that these lights belonged to the cars that were all stopped on the road ahead, and there was a massive traffic jam. And of course, I knew that I wouldn't be going anywhere quick anytime soon, least of all, actually, to my important meeting. Now, you might think that was a bit of a minor inconvenience, but in that second, something just boiled up inside me. It was like a switch flipped, and I felt this huge surge of frustration and anger suddenly well up because I knew I'd be late now. It was important for me to be there and I wanted to be there, but here I was stuck on a rainy motorway in the Midlands. Now, my reaction was over the top. After all, I'd been in traffic jams lots of times before, but on this occasion, it felt like something snapped inside of me, like I wanted to explode. And sitting there in my car, I shouted out loud, "Is this it? Is this it?" Now, to be honest, joining the dots up now, looking back, this feeling had been building for a few years. Probably from around the time that my father went out for a lovely day out with a friend, and as they were crossing a road, a driver came speeding round the corner in the wrong lane and drove straight into him. He spent the next 2 months in and out of hospital recovering from his injuries, until one day we got called to get to the hospital because he'd taken a sudden turn for the worse. Now, we'd been through this a few times, so hoped it was a precaution, but this time it was different. It had all proved too much for his heart, and the only good thing was that we got there in time to be with him as he passed away. It was so shocking, as well as being really unjust and unfair. I mean, how could this happen? 2 months ago, my father had been a super active member of our family and community. He'd even been given an MBE for his work. That's an honour you get from the Queen. And now he was gone. It was a huge shock to us all, but especially for my mother. I don't think she ever really fully recovered from losing her husband of 50 years, the man that she'd been married to since the age of 16.
Who would?
Long, long time. And despite my mother having been fit and active, I can't help but feel that it was the stress of all of this that led to her own untimely death 3 years later from cancer. Now, if any of you have lost a parent, let alone 2 parents in a short time scale, I'm sure you'll know that the enormity of that has lasting effects beyond the initial grieving. It's like a pressure cooker where we put a lid on our emotions. But one day they have to come out. And as I sat there in that traffic jam, my frustrations bubbled up. I was struck by the fragility and the frailty and the shortness of life. Is this it? Is this how I want to be spending my precious life? What if I've only got a few years left to live? I know it sounds a bit sort of morbid now, but that's how I felt at the time. Is this how I want to spend it? Driving around the country, working for someone else? Was I doing what I wanted? Was there something else I wanted for my life? It wasn't that I hated my work. It just took up too much of my precious life. Okay, it paid the bills, but is this really it? And the answer that came back to me in that moment was no, it doesn't have to be like this. This doesn't have to be it. Right now, you're doing what others expect of you. You're following someone else's script, but you don't have to. You could choose. You could literally turn around right now. There's nothing physically stopping you. Well, apart from being on the motorway.
I'm glad you said that.
But you know what I mean. I could take the next turn. The only thing stopping you is your mind. And in that instant, it became crystal clear to me that I could change if I changed the way I was thinking. I can't was only in my mind. It wasn't reality. I could take charge and change. I can't do this to I can do this. It was up to me. I could use my thoughts and my thinking, my mind to decide what I wanted, and I could write and follow my own script. Sometimes there comes a moment of realization in our lives that we want more. We want things to change, and this was that moment for me. But more than that, this was a moment of revelation and an epiphany about the critical impact of my mind on my goals and actions. And that if I could find a way to manage this mind, I could change what I wanted. Because behind every goal, there's something we want to change, isn't there? And surely that would be like magic. Imagine having the ability to change what you want in your life. It would be like having a superpower. So my plan was to get clear about what I actually wanted that life to look like, to set my goals and learn everything I could about how I could use or manage my mind to help me achieve it. And at the same time, to look for opportunities to make the lifestyle changes that I wanted using what I was learning. And that's what I did. I started geeking out on all this mindset stuff, how our thoughts work, different mind management techniques and tools and approaches, and was experimenting and road testing them for myself to find the best ways to use them to achieve my goals. And what happened was just at the point that I found out there was going to be an offer for those of the people who wanted to leave the organization I was in as part of this big restructuring. Just at that moment, I found out there'd be some sort of offer, which I may or may not be eligible for. Julian found out that he'd be losing his job. His role was being cut because the whole project he'd been managing for a few years was being axed. So it wasn't exactly the prime time for me to think about leaving my job and start out on my own. But it wasn't too late. I hadn't done anything about it yet. I could still just walk away from the whole plan and keep going back to my old life, keep going as I was, or I could burn my bridges and keep going forward. So we talked about it and decided to use it as an opportunity to do something together. And if all else failed or nothing else, we'd certainly have more time together. So when the opportunity came, I said yes, and I took a step of faith and I made that leap.
Oh, is that you?
No.
I hope it isn't. You've got your top off if it is.
Yeah, and I don't have a tattoo like that either.
Well, not in that place. Oh, sorry.
Anyway, the result was that we brought together what we'd been learning and trying out, all the mind management techniques, and together we started what we called Brilliant Living HQ. And then we took the best techniques and we systemized them into a process or a system that anyone could follow, which we called changeability, the ability to change. And we launched the Changeability podcast to help others the world over achieve their goals and change their lives and have more happiness and what we call brilliant living.
And look, if you think about brilliant living, you actually levitate. in that bottom right
Yeah.
hand corner. Actually, that's when we were awarded an award at the UK Podcasters Awards, isn't it?
Yeah, for the best self-help podcast.
And I literally
Best self-help podcast.
jumped for joy.
Yeah. But apart from the external results of creating brilliantlivingHQ.com and the changeability system, I also know now inside that success is really about how you view it. And what counts as success or not varies enormously, and it isn't the same for everyone. And that all that matters really is what you count as success. And that even if you do try things out and they don't work out quite as you intended, it doesn't take away from all your previous successes. They don't go anywhere, they don't disappear. And I also found out that people are a lot less interested in what you're doing than you think they will be, because they're mostly interested in themselves, not in a selfish or a nasty way. It's just that, they're busy getting on with their own lives. And in fact, it's good because whatever happens, they will still love you or like you. And of course, I also now know that you can achieve your goals and make changes in your life. Well, you can if you use mind management.
Now, you might be wondering, how does this apply to you? It might not be your work or lifestyle you want to change, but if you've ever asked yourself, like Catherine, is this it? Or felt there's more to life than this? Or if you're not fulfilling your purpose, or there's goals you want to achieve, something you want to change that will transform your life, then this talk definitely applies to you, because mind management is the missing key to unlock the door to take you through to the life you want. A way to access your changeability superpower, if you like. Can you imagine having this skill you can apply to any area of your life? And that's why we're really excited to share this with you today, so that you can get these types of results too.
And not only has this worked for us, but here's Mel, who not so long ago was stuck in a place you might recognise, with a goal she thought she couldn't achieve until she found and used her changeability superpower. Mel was working as a cleaner at her local high school, and it wasn't her ideal job, but she did it because it was steady money and the hours suited her lifestyle better than most other jobs, as she's got a young son and she wanted to be able to take him and pick him up from school and have the school holidays off. So it was basically a convenient, secure job. But the problem was that Mel didn't really like it. It was hard work, but that didn't worry Mel because she is a hard worker. But the thing is that Mel had a yearning to change something, because she'd dreamed for ages of setting up her own cleaning agency. Mel wanted to take the leap. She didn't want to be at the beck and call of someone else. She wanted to be her own boss. But she was always held back by what she thought of as the realities of life, until she learnt about mind management and how to use it through changeability. And Mel realised that she was following someone else's script, and that she could take charge of her life and she could make that leap. Take that leap of faith in herself and her abilities. So that she got clear on what she wanted, she set her goals, and using the mind management techniques, within a few months had transformed from goal setter to goal getter, and Mel's Maids was born. And we'll hear more from Mel later.
So, what we'll cover today? Secret number 1, how to use the power of your mind to achieve your goals rather than sabotage them, as we tend to do. Secret number 2, how to make your goals a reality without willpower or self-discipline. And secret number 3, how you don't need to be a neuroscientist to use the key mind management technique loved by top achievers everywhere. So let's start with secret number 1, how to use the power of your mind to achieve your goals rather than sabotage them. And incidentally, we're not talking about Jedi mind tricks here. Well, maybe just a bit.
Oh, go on, give us a bit of Yoda.
Jedi mind tricks. We're talking tricks, Jedi mind. Yes, aren't we? I think they muddle the words around a little bit, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you might be thinking, well, okay, mind management sounds all very well, but I don't understand what it's got to do with my goals, let alone being the key to achieving my goals. Well, when I was starting out with my research, one of the first books that I read was The Secret. Now, I don't know if you've read this book or not, and when I read it, you know what? There were things in this book that I loved, but I also got frustrated by it. The idea around, of sitting around waiting for the universe to deliver. And I remember thinking, well, surely thinking stuff's not going to get me my goals. I'm not going to achieve anything through thinking thoughts. And I was wanting real practical action. And I felt that was missing, or partly missing, from this book.
I'm still waiting.
Waiting for the universe.
Yeah, to deliver.
But I knew from my moment in the car, my is this it moment, that there was something in this idea that thoughts, well, first of all, they're really important. And this idea that thoughts are things and that we are not necessarily our thoughts. It doesn't have to be like that. And I remember the first time I really got that concept, it was just an amazing moment because of the implications of it. Wow, imagine if I can change my thoughts the way I think. But I was basically frustrated by books like The Secret as to what to actually do about it in a practical sense. There was a gap between my goals and what I wanted on the one hand and my thinking and thoughts on the other. And I realized that I had to close that gap, find a way to bridge them together, bring them together. And I learned that mind management is the way to do that. And I found out it's not just about thinking and focusing on thoughts, important though that is. And it's not just about taking action towards your goals, important though that is. It's not a matter of one or the other, but of both. And I found this out for myself when I set a goal of writing a book on this idea of changeability. I wanted to find a way of bringing it all together, all the mind management stuff I was learning and trying out and the things that we were doing at brilliantlivinghq.com. And to be honest, I was struggling. I was finding it a challenge on a practical and intellectual level. I wanted to find out a way to bring it together that was logical and based on science. Yeah, that is not me doing my experiments. And experience. And that also made sense in a cohesive way and was easy for people to follow and understand. And it was frustrating to me that I was struggling with it because I was supposed to be the person who was knowing it, learning about this stuff, who knew this stuff and be good at putting stuff together. So basically I had this goal and I was taking action and I was doing it every day. The research, putting it together, but no matter how long I spent on it and despite lots of work, I just didn't seem able to get it finished. I was so close and yet so far. And the days went by, the weeks went by, and then is that a clock?
I think so.
Oh, isn't that tick-tock, tick-tock? And the months went by, and then even a year went past, believe it or not. And Julian was patiently asking me,
how's it getting on?
And in fact, I began to doubt myself. And the problem with it is that it was also bitty. It was like a jigsaw where the pieces didn't all fit together. In fact, I wasn't even sure that I even had the right pieces, let alone if they would fit together. And then one day a friend of mine told me about a book that he was reading. And the book was called The War of Art. And in it, the author, Stephen Pressfield, talks about this thing called resistance. He gets really flowery about it, seeing it in almost religious terms. But what I learned from that was this idea of resistance isn't unusual. And in a way, it's to be expected. Resistance was to be expected, and his solution was to push through it by doing it and setting yourself up for success, which for him, Stephen Pressfield, meant to keep writing. Now, this resonated with me because I was also writing, but I wanted to go beyond this. I wanted to understand what was actually happening here. So I went back to what I'd been learning, beginning with the goal I had. And I started going through all the steps that I was putting together in my book. It was kind of ironic, really, given the book that I was writing. Almost embarrassing now I look back on it. But as I did this, almost straight away I realized that this slow progress, this procrastination to get it finished, even though I was taking action, it just wasn't happening. Wasn't down to it being hard to do. It was down to self-sabotage. I was sabotaging my good intentions. It was really a case of teacher, heal thyself. I looked at what was getting in the way and I found that my main inhibitor was fear. Fear of failure, fear of disappointment, fear of loss of reputation, which was sort of quite funny, really, because I didn't have a reputation at that time. So what if it flopped? I remember thinking, what if no one liked it? What if I got terrible reviews? Would all this work be for nothing? Would the whole Brilliant Living HQ thing be a terrible idea? I've thought that a few times on and off over the years. And at this point, I was really struggling with these thoughts. But now I had identified the thoughts getting in my way. And so now I knew what these thoughts were. I went back to the framework that I was creating, this system, and I followed the process a step at a time. I worked through them, clearing them and replacing them, these negative, unhelpful, limiting thoughts with positive, empowering ones. And I got clearer about the goal and the outcome and what it would take to get there. And then, and only then, did I find myself in the right place, in the right frame of mind and mindset to really move forward and get on with it. And once I was ready to do this, I could put steps in place to help me succeed. I got the confidence to get a book coach to support me completing the book, and I got it done. And I got it out there, and Changeability was born.
Yeah, look, that's fantastic. That's the moment when you actually got the book sent through the post, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Great day that was, a fantastic
Just
day.
opened the box and pulled the book out for the first time. It was a great, great feeling. And it went on to become a #1 bestseller in my category on Amazon in Canada, on Australia, and the US, and right up there in the top 10 in the UK as well. But what it also brought home to me was that having a goal isn't enough. Yes, we love goals. We really do. And it all starts with a goal. Well, actually, it starts with something else a step before that to be really effective. But let's stick with the goal for now. But I now knew that having a goal wasn't enough. In fact, it was worse than that, because having my goal actually made procrastination and self-sabotage and the fear of failure more likely because of the way that our minds work. Your mind's job is to protect you. My mind was trying to protect me, to keep me safe. And when I started talking or thinking about goals, it signaled change to my mind. And change equals danger, which is to be avoided. There's a bit more to it than that, but this is not the time and place, and I'm sure you get the gist. And so my mind did whatever it had to avoid me achieving that goal. And that's why goals are not enough, and how you need to use the power of your mind if you want to achieve them. And what's more, I think you probably know it. I mean, how many times have you set New Year's resolutions? Have you set New Year's resolutions to give up this or that, to make changes in your life in the coming year in, year out, but it never lasts, or very few of them do? They're sort of goals, but they're not really supported or underpinned by anything, so they're more like wishes or fleeting thoughts. It's only when you start embedding them in your mind through managing your mind that stuff actually happens.
Now, you might also be thinking, well, I don't understand how this is different from other goal-setting programs. Goal setting is just the start, and that's where many others finish. But goals alone are not enough, as you've just seen with Catherine's story. Even taking action is not enough. And that's why you have to have mind management to succeed, and why goal setting is only a part of what we do. You then need to make friends with your mind so it works with you rather than against you. And then, and only then, are you ready for action and getting out there and making it happen. Because the truth is that making friends with your mind, managing your mind, is the foundation of and key to achievement and change. Which leads us on to secret number 2, how to make your goals a reality without willpower or self-discipline. Now, you might be thinking, like this meerkat here, I'm sold on mind management. But at
Is
the
that
end of
what
the
he's really thinking?
I think that's exactly what he's thinking. But at the end of the day, it takes a lot of willpower to keep going with your goals. And I don't know if you're anything like this meerkat, but he's not that big on willpower. I'm not sure I've got the willpower, you might be saying, or self-discipline to achieve my goals.
Well, like many people, I was a little bit heavier than I wanted to be.
Laugh with your plump chum, Bessie Bunter.
Bessie Bunter.
Oh,
I'm not sure I was actually
every week
Bessie Bunter.
hilarious. I don't think you're quite Bessie Bunter.
Actually, I have to say, this is before our time, this
I
Bessie
know,
Bunter.
this is like, I think this is the 1950s, I think.
Oh, is it?
Around about that time. That just shows a different era, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Wow.
it certainly does. I don't think you'd be
Not
having
very
that now.
PC, is it?
But anyway, the truth is that it crept on, this weight had crept on over the years. And every once in a while, I'd do something about it. And it would go down for a little while and then gradually creep up. And it got to the point where it was more up than it was down, if you know what I mean. And I wanted to lose some of this extra unnecessary weight. I wanted to feel better. I wanted to look better and to be healthier. But I struggled to actually do it. You know, I found it hard because I just seemed to love the foods that weren't too good for me. Comfort foods, especially desserts like apple pie or fruit crumble and cream cakes or Victoria
Sponge. Used to love Victoria Sponge.
Yeah, absolutely. Buttercream icing, yum. And they seemed to be everywhere I went. You know, any cafe or restaurant, there were these cakes or desserts calling me. And the truth is that I didn't
Teach me now.
I didn't really want to give them up. You know, I liked how they tasted and I liked what I associated them with because to me they were associated with pleasure and treats and things like that. But I had this internal struggle going on because I didn't like the result of eating them. It might make me feel good in that moment that I ate it, but the extra weight that was the result was making me feel bad. I felt like my clothes didn't look good on me, that I didn't look like the real me. You know, when I saw a photo of myself, I'm like, is that really what I look like? Although, of course, it was actually the real me, but I didn't like it. So I went back to cutting down on the comfort foods and the desserts and cakes. But the problem is it didn't work. Now, sure, it might work for a short while, but it's just so difficult to sustain. The food was difficult to resist, and it was only a matter of time.
There you go again.
It was only a matter of time before I went back to it.
I love one of those cakes.
She looks like she's sneaking in there to have one of the. Yeah, she probably shouldn't be eating those at the time. Anyway, so you know, I was going back to eating what I fancied eating really, and it ended up making me feel doubly bad because I just couldn't muster up this willpower to see it through. So, you know, I was thinking, well, I'm just not succeeding here at all. And that, in a nutshell, is the problem with diets. They just don't work in the long term, or not for me anyway. And in fact, not for most other people from what I see. And then one day I decided to read a book that lots of my business friends were reading called The One Thing. Now, I have to tell you that this is not a book about food or diets. It's essentially a business book about productivity. And I was reading it with business in mind. But I loved the concept behind the book, the idea of finding that one thing that makes everything else easier or not necessary. And it dawned on me that if I could apply this to business and productivity, I could apply it to anything, this concept. So I thought about what's the one thing that I could do that makes everything else easier or unnecessary when it comes to my attempts to lose weight. What's at the root of this? What one thing could I do that would have the most impact? What was the common denominator that if I changed it would make the most difference? And it hit me. Sugar. What if I cut out sugar? That was the common denominator to many of my favourite foods that were scuppering my efforts. So if I made it my plan to cut out sugar, then this would decrease at a stroke many of the foods that I found hard to resist. Well, almost as soon as I thought that thought, the negative thoughts kicked in. What? No.
Is that you? What?
You're making me out to be some sort of mad woman. What? Never have sugar, never have chocolate again ever, never have a chocolate eclair or a slice of Victoria Sponge ever? What about Christmas? What about parties? What about that wedding I've got coming up? So I just put the thought of it out of my mind and put the whole thing off for a while.
The fear looks very much in your mind there,
doesn't it? Until one day I'd had enough. I was standing in my walk-in wardrobe and I couldn't decide what to wear. Now, Julian will tell you it wasn't for a lack of clothes.
That's very true.
Or for trying them on. In fact,
that's also very true.
In fact, I'd been through outfit after outfit after outfit, trying them on and throwing them down on the floor because they didn't fit me, or I felt that they made me look fat, or I felt uncomfortable in them. And this was just to go out for the day. I mean, it wasn't anywhere particularly special, just getting ready for a normal day. I don't know if you've ever done something like that. I mean, it seems so ridiculous now, but at the time I was so frustrated that I just wanted to cry. But instead I thought, this is it. This is it. The time has come. It's up to me. And as I reached that moment, once again, my thoughts kicked in. What? No more sugar? And so on and so forth. And this time I answered myself, no. I know what you're up to. I know you're not real. I know you're just my thoughts, and I don't have to listen to you. I know how to manage you. So I went back, starting with, what's my goal? What's getting in the way? What thoughts and what thinking would empower me? Where do I want to get to? What do I want to weigh? What do I want to look like? What habits will support me? What action will I take? In other words, I did my mind management stuff so that I could cut out sugar. And I started, and I did it, not forever. I started just for a day at first, and then another day, and then just a few days, and then a few days more that then became weeks and months. And then one day I went to our lovely local cinema down the road and walked into the theatre to watch the film without thinking about having an ice cream. I had become sugar-free. I didn't need to think about it. The decision had been made. And I remember that moment, the elation when I realized what had happened, because I hadn't even had to think about it as I walked past. It took a while to get to that point, but I did it. And that thrill and sense of freedom from being shackled to the sweet habit. I saw myself as sugar-free, or maybe more importantly, I thought of myself as sugar-free. And I had become it. That person, not because of the goal, but because of the way my management had impacted the action and influenced the action that I then took and do take every day. And now it's a year on, and so far I'm 30 pounds lighter. I'm not saying I'm perfect by any means. There's plenty of other things to eat that aren't so good for me, and I'm not saying I'll do this forever or that I've reached my perfect weight or anything. But the point is, I have become sugar-free. And when you become it, by doing it, by building up the habits through managing your mind and taking the action, then you don't need to rely on willpower anymore. Relying on willpower, I would have just buckled probably by the first evening, which was always my most susceptible time because of all the willpower and self-discipline you use during the course of the day. But I wasn't relying on willpower because my mind was working with me, and it was backed up by the habits that I developed then to become that person. So that's why you don't need to rely on willpower and self-discipline to achieve your goals if you make friends with and manage your mind.
Now, some people might also be thinking, you are a suspicious lot. Well, I'm not confident enough, or I'm not sure goals work for me, or indeed, I'm not able to achieve what I want. I need to be realistic. So what underlies all these concerns? It's your thoughts, isn't it? Influencing your aspiration, your belief in yourself, and ultimately, unfortunately, your behaviour and the actions you take or don't take. You can use mind management to change this. Your confidence, fears that goals won't work for you, worries about not being able to achieve what you really desire because you need to be realistic, so you don't even aim that high. Now, that's a limiting belief if ever I've heard one, and is also living someone else's script. But now it's time to write your own script. And what's even better is that you don't need to rely on willpower to achieve your goals if you manage your mind right.
Ooh.
See, we told you there was a bit of Jedi mind tricks.
Is that what he's doing?
That's a great pick. Well, it looks a little bit like it, doesn't it? Because the truth is you don't need to rely on willpower to achieve your goals if you manage your mind right. Which leads us to secret number 3. How you don't need to be a neuroscientist to use the key mind management techniques loved by top achievers everywhere.
Now, you might be thinking, okay, my management could work for me, but even if it did, I wouldn't know where to start. I'm not a neuroscientist or a psychologist. I haven't got the educational knowledge. You know you want to achieve your goals and change, but you don't want to do it wrong and it not work because you haven't got the expertise. Or maybe you've looked into it before, but there's so much stuff out there, it's just overwhelming or too fluffy. Well, don't worry because you don't need to be a neuroscientist or have any special knowledge to get started. And we'll show you how you can use one of the top mind management techniques that top performers love. So, if you think you don't know how to do this mind management stuff, we'll show you that you do. But first, you've heard loads from me, so let's hear a story about this from Julian's past. A bit of ancient history.
Steady on there, steady on. So, when I was a young lad at high school, and when I say high school, actually, that was just to make it clearer to you. Actually, it was what we call in England a grammar school. Think very posh. Think of me, if you like, as a spotty teenager with spindly legs sticking out of his slightly short school uniform trousers, because they were hand-me-downs from my brother, and sitting at a wooden desk, a bit like Tom Brown's school days. Now,
Quite that old.
my grammar school was actually very keen on tests and the position you were in the class, especially in French, which I absolutely hated. And I hated taking those tests because the palms of my hands would start sweating and I'd feel really queasy. Anyway, enough of that. This one day I'm sitting this French test to decide what class I'd be in for next year's group. And the teacher collects in the test papers and marks them while we're doing some other work. The moment comes when he's going to read out the result. And I begin to feel sick to the pit of my stomach because I was sure I hadn't actually done very well. And I didn't actually have very long to wait to find out that that was in fact the case. As the teacher, very kindly, would always start with the name of the boy who was at the bottom of the class, the person who'd got the worst mark. There were 26 in our class, and at least the 26th position wasn't me. I wasn't last. Or me at position 25 in the class. And then he read out my name and the mark. 24th in the class. Third from bottom. So there it was for all the world to see and laugh at. And you can imagine I felt terrible, humiliated if you like, and just wanted to crawl under the desk. I wanted to get better at French so I wasn't near the bottom of the class and had to keep enduring that experience again and again. I was struggling though as we kept having to do these tests in this subject and that subject, so I wasn't able to catch up, let alone get ahead, especially as I had loads of other homework, or as we called it at our school, prep, to do. And what's more, deep down, I felt I wasn't actually good enough. And this was continually reinforced, so I felt I would never be any good at this. I hadn't got it in me. I felt like a failure, and it was awful. I'm sure you can imagine to feel like this as a young teenager. The problem was we hadn't really been shown a good way to learn the French words or how to revise, or not one that made sense to a spotty adolescent teenager like me. So I would sit looking at this long list of words the night before the test, and they were just dancing on the page in front of me, not going in at all, and I'd start crying because I knew what would happen. And I'd get frustrated and cross with my mum, taking out my frustration on her because I felt useless and just kept saying, I can't do it. I can't do it, Mum. One day when I was upset, my mum decided to take matters into her own hands and she sat down to help me. Then she suggested we learn 3 French words. 3 French words. I didn't want to do it because I was worried I couldn't do it. And even if I did, what good would 3 words be when there were so many I didn't know? But nevertheless, she persuaded me, and I had been upset, so that I took it on board. And we sat there, and she said these French words one at a time, and then I said them, and we kept going, repeating them, until I learnt them. Every day when I got home from school, she asked me what the 3 words were we'd learnt the day before, and I said them and got them right. Well, that was good. So now the next day we tried to learn another 3, plus revise the 3 I'd learnt the day before. Now I knew 6 French words. And every day we learnt 3 more words, while also going over the ones I'd already learnt. My mum took me through this one step every day. Now, I certainly don't want to give you the impression that I didn't turn into a paragon of virtue overnight. The truth is, I didn't always want to do it. I was young and very easily distracted young lad at that. There was always football calling me from the field outside my house, so I can remember it well. And I didn't get all the words right all the time. Anyway, the day came for the next French test. I was so nervous that I wouldn't remember the words I'd learnt. I didn't want to let myself down nor disappoint my mother, who'd invested her time in helping me. I felt under pressure as I did the test. Then the time came for the results. Mr. Harper, teacher, stood at the front of the class with his notebook in his hand and peering over the top of his little glasses, started reading out the results. It wasn't quite like that. My heart started beating fast as he read out the first name, the person at the bottom of the class. And it wasn't mine. Nor was I 25th in the class, or 24th. Whew. I felt a wave of relief go over me. I'm not at the bottom again. At least I've done better than last time. Then came the next name, and it wasn't mine, nor the next, and by the time he got to halfway through the class, and as he helpfully pointed out, and always did, we were now moving from the bottom half to the top half of the class, I started to worry that he'd either missed my name off the list, or possibly I'd missed hearing it. On and on he went through the list, my eyes getting wider and wider, until he read out my name, my surname, Illman. I was in second position. The teacher sort of raised his eyebrows, those dark grey eyebrows, and looked surprised as he read out my name. I was elated, thrilled. I'm surprised that I didn't think I actually had it in me to learn these words, to achieve my goal and change like that. I had found out that I can do it. I wasn't a failure. I had a superpower. I could do it because I was shown I could do it by following the system that worked.
Did you feel like Superman?
I can fly. I can believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. Starting right where I was at the bottom, following the right steps a bit at a time every day. I didn't have to know it all at once. I could do it step by step and reach my goal. And I want to say to you, the same is true for you. Wow, I can almost still feel the same tension all those years later.
Yes, so you might be thinking, well, I haven't got the education, the fancy degrees. I don't know where to start. But you have it in you to do it. You really don't need fancy degrees. Oh, sweet. But to understand some basics about how your mind works and simple practical techniques to apply it. You already know more than you think. You just need to uncover it. And you're at the very best place to start, because the best place to start is where you are right now. No, it's not perfect. There's always distractions and things to get in your way, but you already have the power to achieve your goals. It's your secret superpower. You just need to get started, to follow the system step by step, and you'll get there.
I'm off.
You can do it. So let us show you and demonstrate it to you right now.
Let's do a little experiment. Does that sound like a bit of fun to you? I hope so. Imagine, you can close your eyes for this if you want to. Imagine it's a hot day. The sun is shining in a bright blue sky and you're feeling rather warm. What you really fancy is a nice, long, cool drink. So you get up from your chair in the garden and you go into your kitchen. You get a tall glass out of the cupboard. Go to your big fridge and plop some ice cubes into the glass. Before you add your drink, you go to your fruit bowl and you select a plump, bright yellow lemon.
Not a plump chum.
Taking it to your chopping board, you cut a clean slice of lemon. Ooh, it's so juicy that a bit of it spurts out onto your hand and you can't resist licking it off. The tangy tartness hits your senses and brings the inside of your mouth to life, and you can't resist raising the lemon slice to your mouth and sucking it. I want to know from you if you have got saliva in your mouth right now.
Yes.
Well, what you've witnessed here is the power of your imagination to change how you feel. Even your physical reaction, like saliva coming into your mouth, to change what you're doing. What's more, it's a power you not only already have, but one you can use every day.
So let's think about an everyday experience. What are you having for your dinner tonight?
A very exotic dinner by the looks of that, isn't it?
Do you know? Or if you've had your dinner tonight, what you're having tomorrow? If not, what do you fancy? Think about it for a moment. Now, how did you do that? Did you imagine it in some way? Well, if you're like most people, you either sensed or saw a picture of it in your mind as you were thinking of it. What we think of as in your mind's eye, which meant you visualized it. But what if you were to take that visualization and hone it and learn how to do it so you can make it really work well for you instead of against you, which is what's happening a lot of the time now, but let's not get into that now. And then you used that skill, that visualization skill and technique on purpose. If you did that, you would have an enormously powerful mind management technique. In fact, you would be using one of the most powerful and favorite mind management techniques that's used by top performers and high achievers everywhere. And as you've already seen, because you use it already, you don't need to be a neuroscientist or a psychologist to do it. And I'm talking about top performers like Wayne Rooney, one of our most successful English football players. And this is what he said.
I lie in bed the night before the game and visualise myself scoring goals or doing well. You're trying to put yourself in that moment and trying to prepare yourself to have a memory before the game. I've always done it my whole life. When I was younger, I used to visualise myself scoring wonder goals, stuff like that, from 30 yards out, dribbling through teams. You used to visualise yourself doing that all the time. And when you're playing professionally, you realise it's important for your preparation. And that's Wayne Rooney from England and Everton, formerly Manchester United.
Nani. Rooney! Oh, wonderful! What a goal! And what a time! In what a place! What a player! Wayne Rooney out of this world! 2-1 United! One of the great goals in the history of the Manchester derby at Old Trafford on the 12th of February 2011.
And here's a few more prolific goal setters who've used visualization. You might have heard of them: Arnold Schwarzenegger, Oprah Winfrey, Jim Carrey, Jessica Ennis, the heptathlon gold medalist for England or the United Kingdom. For GB, Team GB, that's it. Will Smith, and even presidents and politicians like John F.K. with their dream and vision for the space program in the 60s.
Now, some people might also think, well, I don't know how to get started or avoid overwhelm. And the answer is that you do it one step at a time, like Julian and his French. You start where you are and you follow the process step by step, one at a time. Because when it comes to secret number 3, the truth is that you already have the power. You just need a way to uncover and direct this secret superpower, which we call changeability, the ability to change. And imagine what a superpower that actually would be if you could change what you wanted to change.
So let us ask you a question now. Do you think this would work for you? If you followed what we showed you in secret number 1 and know how you can manage your mind to use its power to work for you rather than against you, and then you did what we showed you in secret 2 and use these new ways of thinking to create habits so you don't have to rely on willpower to do what it takes, and then you use secret number 3 to start right where you are now with mind management techniques like visualization, which you can already use a bit, and followed the process step by step, do you think you could achieve your goals and transform your life.
How many of you are excited about what we've talked about? Who wants to take things to the next level? I know we've covered a lot, but it's impossible to show you everything that you need to get results in a 60-minute presentation. So we've tried to cover as much as possible, but we have created a special package for those of you who are ready to move forward and want to implement what we've been talking about for yourself. So are you happy for us to spend a few minutes going over this very special offer that we've created to help you implement mind management to achieve your goals? Are you happy for us to do that?
Excellent. So let's introduce you to the Changeability Success Blueprint, the online program. With the Changeability Success Blueprint, we can now help you take the vague ideas in your head and turn them into goals and action to find and eliminate the mental roadblocks that sabotage you and manage your mind to achieve your goals and transform your life. So you can, if you want, start your own business or take your business to the next level. Become a freelancer, work from home, start a new career, write a book, be fit and healthy, be slim, find love, have a great relationship, whatever it is. You can do that and you can make it happen faster than you thought possible. You can take charge and do what you want to do with the people you want to be with without failing or nothing changing. You can unleash your superpower.
So here's what you will get with the Changeability Success Blueprint. Now, the great thing about a blueprint is that it means it's like a plan or something you can follow. And
step by step
thing that you can follow, and you can apply it whatever your goals are. So what happens is you get a 10-week Changeability Goals and Mind Management Masterclass. This is like at the core of the blueprint. So every week for 10 weeks, you get another technique to learn, another module to follow. And you start in week 1 with your vision. And then in week 2, you go on to setting your goals, a hugely important thing to do. And then in week 3, you'll be looking at what are your inhibitors, the things getting in the way of you achieving your goals, and the reason why it's not as easy to achieve your goals as people might think it is. And number 4, in week 4, you'll then be looking at the sort of thoughts that can empower you. So in week 3, you'll have got rid of your limiting thoughts to replace them in week 4 with your empowering thoughts that are going to help you achieve your goals. And in week 5, we look at visualization technique that we've just very briefly touched on there. And we go into it in a lot more detail so that you will be able to take this amazing technique that you already use a bit and actually take it completely to the next level so that you can be doing what these fantastic sports people achieve as well. And then in week 6, we're going to talk about your action plan and how you're putting all of this into action, because it's not just about sitting around thinking, it's also about putting it together. And in week 7, what we do now is we know that, being happy is also about being here in the very present moment as well. It's not just always about looking forward and waiting for your goals to happen. So one of the really brilliant ways of doing this and being happier is grounding yourself in the present moment is by using appreciation and gratitude. And we give you a technique to use for that as well. And the same with week 8. It's for the same reason we talk about mindfulness and show you a simple form of mindfulness, teach you a simple form of mindfulness that you can do in a few moments. And in week 9, it's all about accountability and how this is the technique that really catapults you, to achieve your goals. And in week 10, we reflect on what you've done before and how you're getting on. And really importantly, you learn the importance of celebrating every win, and we will be celebrating with you. So that is the 10-week Changeability Goals and Mind Management Masterclass. And it's what we've done, it's what Mel's done, and also Yulana, who's going to talk to us now for a minute.
So I would definitely recommend this product for anybody who really struggled with change in the past and who really seriously is interested in changing their life and believes that there is a purpose, to one's life, and that they're ready to pursue that. That the people that say, surely there must be more to life than this. Not all people have that need. They don't feel like there's a purpose or whatever.
Yeah.
All they want to do is they want to do their 5 a week job.
Yep.
Have a day drink on the weekend, meet with their friends, do whatever they need to do, and then do this all over again. And they're happy, and their main concern is that something went wrong at work or whatever.
Yes.
And it's fine. If you have and I think this is much easier for people like that to live.
Yes, I agree.
Yes. So because they just live and they just don't have that nagging feeling that there's something missing.
Yeah.
And then when you have that feeling, it's impossible to just carry on. I mean, how can you even think about the possibility that when you go to work, you're basically wishing your days away?
Yeah.
So now I'm wishing 5 days of my life to just go away, so I can enjoy 2 days here, and then I'm wishing 5, which I will never get them back. Never ever I will be able to leave them again. And to me, that kind of setup is unthinkable. Yeah, so we are almost like disadvantaged. And I think this is why your program is so wonderful, because you can reach so many people and you can actually change that mindset, and you can actually say, look, actually this isn't the case. Okay, so it's very, at least I can say that I've written a book here, right? So by using the goal setting techniques and by persuading myself, with affirmations and everything, I knew that I could do it, and somehow it kind of makes sense, and there's something powerful about having this vision written down. And every time I open up my computer and I look at it, because it's like my screensaver, and I almost like it gives you the power, because it reminds you, this is what I'm doing this for. I was able to write this book, and complete it and get a great reviews, So this editor that I sent it to, I was, his like feedback was really, really nice, and he was saying that, and he believes in it because he wants to help me. So I cannot even imagine, without any sort of like a plan, I wouldn't be able to be here, because my negative thinking and like limiting thoughts and everything would just shut me down. It's not to say that it's changed my outlook and I'm always this positivity person that is just walking around, everything's good in my life. It's not like that. But now I've learned to recognize that this is the behavior. It's not reality. And all I have to do is take my affirmations, start to listen to them, and actually say, this is the truth. I think that this program somehow is gonna assist me to the rest of my life, right? So this isn't something that I've done and that's the end of it when I get to my goal, because there'll be new goals, there'll be new things, and eventually I will achieve the vision, which will be time for creating a new vision, right? And it will be like a never-ending circle. Your 30s or 40s or whatever, you have limited amount of time, and then you basically you have this fear that there is. I'm running out of time and I still don't know what to do in my life, right? And all of us have that. And the thing is that now I feel at peace, because I know where I'm going, I know what we're supposed to be doing, and that is no longer an issue. So I think it gave me like this peace and sense of purpose.
So who does this work for? Well, it's for people who ask themselves, is this it? And the answer is no. People like Catherine, who on that day in her car a few years ago had that moment of realisation which became a turning point for her. People who want to achieve their goals. People who want to change something in their life. People who want to take charge of their life. People who want to write their own script. People who want to go from goal setters to goal getters. I love that.
Now, you might be thinking you can't get started because it sounds like there's a lot to get through and you're not sure you've got the time. Well, we've got good news for you. You can. It takes just a couple of hours every week for 10 weeks to get through this. And so that means the way we've done it is that you won't get overwhelmed with it and that each section builds on the next. It's progressive and logical. So every week you get another section and you'll get your new videos to watch and you'll be doing it all online. So just imagine only 70 days to take charge of your life.
So here's what you're going to get. You're going to get the 10-week Changeability Goals and Mind Management Masterclass with a value of £997. You also get these tools, the Changeability Tools, which are a series of checklists, done-for-you templates, cheat sheets, the Changeability Roadmap, mind management tools, plus 4 downloadable MP3 audio tools. That's affirmations, a guided visualization, guided appreciation, and a guided mindfulness meditation. With these tools, you're going to be able to fill in the blanks to create your vision and set your goals. You're going to be able to easily identify and explore potential inhibitors, things which are blocking you from achieving your goals. You're going to develop personal, empowering thoughts. You're going to be able to quickly check you've got the main points of each module and technique covered and experience the power of affirmations and straight away start changing the way you think. You'll be able to create your own action plan. Use gratitude and appreciation whenever you want for more joy and happiness now. Immediately use a powerful visualization technique to visualize life after you've achieved your goals. Practice a simple form of mindfulness meditation and living in the present moment. Look at what's working well in your life and make tweaks and celebrate every success. In essence, you will be taking charge and changing your life, writing your own script. It's truly liberating.
And it's not only about what you'll be able to do, it's about what you'll be able to stop doing or be able to get rid of. Because with these tools, you'll be able to get rid of a lack of direction and drifting through life without purpose, if that's how you feel now. You'll be able to get rid of a lack of clarity about what you want or how you're going to achieve it. And you'll be able to get rid of the limiting thoughts and beliefs that hold you back and stop you achieving your goals. You'll also be able to get rid of a flawed reliance on willpower that we've just been talking about and self-discipline to achieve your goals. You'll get rid of self-doubt and self-sabotage and procrastination, and you'll get rid of this wondering what to do next. Now, I didn't know how to use all these techniques or how to make them work in a practical way together. So I had to learn all these different mind management techniques and then find a way to take the best ones and fit them together for maximum impact. And during my years of research and study, I just wasn't able to find those exact tools that I wanted so that I could apply the techniques how I wanted to do it. And that's why we then created the practical applications and the actual tools, these audio tools, just the way that we wanted them to use ourselves, that we hadn't been able to find. So what this means that with all these tools we're going to give you, you don't have to do time-consuming research. You don't have to try out lots of different techniques to find which works best. You don't have to get frustrated when it's not clear how they should all fit together. You don't have to buy loads of expensive and time and energy consuming books and courses. You don't have to search around for the practical tools like I did to implement what you've learned. And you don't have to buy affirmations or visualization or appreciation tools. You don't have to find a beginner's guide to mindfulness meditation or guided mindfulness meditation. You don't have to look for accountability, because we are going to give you all those tools to do all those things.
Huge amount of time and money saved there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, you might be thinking, well, I can't use these tools because I don't know what to do with them, or they sound a bit way out. I just want to achieve my goals. Well, we're pleased to say that's not a problem, because we introduce them as you go through the program. So by the time you get to each of these tools, you'll understand exactly why it's important and how it's going to help you achieve your goals. You'll see that using these tools gives you an easy, convenient, straightforward, practical way to get started immediately on applying what you're doing.
So these are the changeability tools you're going to get there. That's the list of everything that you get with your Changeability Success Blueprint. As part of it, you get your checklist, your done for you templates, your cheat sheets, your roadmap, your mind management tools, those 4 downloadable MP3 audio tools there.
So let's just summarize what you're going to get. You're going to get the 10-week Changeability Goals and Mind Management Masterclass with a value of £997. You're going to get the Changeability Toolkit with a value of £297 and all those checklists, etc. And the total value of that is £1,294. You're also going to get a Mind Management for Success series of case studies, stories, and inspirational tales about how others are using and have used mind management to help them achieve their goals and how it made a difference to them.
You know, I had to go through this process of gradually building up an image, like putting pieces together in a jigsaw puzzle to create the finished picture and to find in that picture the common denominator. What was it all these pieces had in common? And it was mind management, all are ways to manage your mind. All these techniques, they're components in a complex web of theories and techniques and insights and breakthroughs, rituals, habits, ways of thinking and working. But you won't have to do any of that because we've done this shortcut for you. And this treasure trove of case studies and stories will not only give you, well, priceless really, insights into how these real people, some of whom you'll know and some you won't, how they have and are using their mind management techniques in their everyday lives to achieve their goals, big and small, but mostly big.
This is going to make it faster and easier for you to see how it will work for you, because Mind Management Success shows you how other people have used mind management and changeability to achieve their goals and transform their life. You might be thinking you're not like them, and that's not an issue, because these people are all exactly like you. They all had something they wanted to change or achieve. You'll know some of them already, precisely because they went on through mind management and the techniques we'll show you to achieve their goals. But they had that time before they started, that moment where you are now, that moment where they made the decision that they wanted to achieve that goal. That moment they decided to go from goal setter to goal getter. Now, Mind Management for Success comes with a value of £97. So here's what you're going to get. The 10-week Changeability Goals and Mind Management Masterclass with a £997 value. The Changeability Tools with a value of £297. The Mind Management Success with a value of £97 with a total value of £1,391. You're also going to get Stickability.
This is the circle of changeability. So you've got your vision and your goals, and you add into that your mindset and action. And that makes up this thing called changeability, if you like. But there's something else that you need. I know when I went through all this, I was going through these ups and downs, trials and errors. It took a while to get to the point where I could maintain momentum to see my goal through. So to help you avoid those trials and errors, and to get you to maintain your momentum, we're giving you stickability. That's what we love to call it. And this is going to make it faster and easier for you to set and achieve your goals. How? Because it's going to give you simple tips and tricks and insights to keep you going once you've been through the program. It sort of does what it says on the tin, really. It gives you stickability, the ability to stick at things, which means to stick at your goals.
If you're thinking you can't make use of this because you find it hard to stick at things and see your goals through, it's not true, because this time you'll be using the mind management techniques and taking action on your goals with the benefit of a changed mindset and approach. So stickability comes with a value of £97. So what you're going to get is the 10-week Changeability Goals and Mind Management Masterclass with a value of £997, the Changeability Tools, the checklists, templates, etc. with a value of £297, the Mind Management for Success with a value of £97, Stickability with a value of £97, with a total value of £1,488, if we've done our maths right.
Which I hope we have.
You also get our Vision Setting Masterclass.
You know, when I began, I knew I wanted to change some things in my life, but I didn't know where to start. But you won't have to go through any of that because we're giving you our Vision Setting Masterclass, which is going to make it faster and easier for you to get started. How, you might wonder? Well, achieving your goals and transforming your life starts with knowing exactly what you want that changed life to look like. So before you set your goals, you'll get this vision setting masterclass in week 1, where our life chart tool gives you a quick and easy way to look at your life now and to get clear about what you want to change and what you want to focus on.
Now, you might be thinking you can't create a vision for the life you really want because it seems quite far away from the life you have now, and you don't want to set yourself up for disappointment. Well, that's not true for you, because as long as you know that you're ready for change, that you have the goals you want to change, then the very best place to start is right where you are now. That is your starting point, but you have to know where you want to get to. Your mind needs to know that. And absolute clarity of vision is the key to the success of your goals, and we'll show you exactly how to get that in our Vision Setting Masterclass. So our Vision Setting Masterclass has a value of £97. What you're going to get: the 10-week Changeability Goals and Mind Management Masterclass, £997 value. Changeability Tools, £297 value. The Mind Management Success, £97 value. Stickability, £97. Vision Setting Masterclass, also £97, with a total value of £1,585.
Now, we're not going to charge you £1,585, but if we did charge you £1,585 and all it did was show you exactly how to achieve your goal so you could transform your life this year, would it be worth it to you? If all this system did was help you to manage your mind so you achieved one of your goals, would it be worth £1,585?
If all it did was show you how you can achieve your goals without relying on willpower, would it be worth £1,585? If all it did was help you realise that you have everything you need to take charge of your life today, you don't need a degree in psychology. You have the superpower in you. You have the power to achieve your goals and transform your life. Would knowing that and how to do it be worth it? Would it be worth £1,585?
But what would it be worth to you if you could achieve your goals and transform your life? If you could start your own business or take your business to the next level? If you could do what work you wanted to do? If you could write that book, be fit and healthy, and all those things, whatever your goal is, if you could do it, what would that be worth to you?
So the Changeability Success Blueprint has a value of £1,585. On the regular price, we will sell it at £497. That's the regular price. We're going to give you a special discount today because you're here live with us on this webclass, and we want to reward fast action takers because you're exactly the sort of person we want to not only help, but you can also help us by giving us a great case study or testimonial for the Changeability Success Blueprint.
Yes.
Because we want a movement of changeability goal getters. And would you like to be our next case study?
If so, today for the Changeability Success Blueprint, you're not going to pay £1,585. You're not going to pay the $497 regular price. Because if you take advantage of our special offer, you will be investing only £197 for your future.
All you have to do is click on the Changeability Blueprint button below in the Offers tab. So look for the Offers tab and click the Get Changeability Blueprint button. Or you can go to https://brilliantlivingHQ.thrivecart.com/changeability-success-blueprint. Lot easier to click on the blue button below.
Yeah. Now, the way I see it, you've got two choices. Your first option is to do nothing and not take this leap of faith, which is actually 100% risk-free. And your second option is to make this small investment today compared to all the value that you'll get in return. and just give it a shot. See if it'll work for you. If it doesn't, for whatever reason, you get your money back. There's no risk. You've got nothing to lose but the stress and frustration. Because if the Changeability Success Blueprint doesn't help you know exactly how to achieve your goals and transform your life, then we'll refund your money. You'll have 30 days to decide, so all the risk is on us. If you try it out and it doesn't deliver on our promises, then just drop us an email and we'll give you your money back.
The real question is it worth gambling a few minutes of your time to check this out? Even if it only does half of what we've claimed today, it will pay for itself in more ways than you thought possible. And as if this wasn't amazing enough already, you have the techniques, you have the tools. What else could you possibly want? Anything more, and like Catherine here, you could fly, or possibly Mary Poppins.
That's not actually me.
Well, is there anything more you could possibly want? Well, how about us? Because we're offering the first 10 people to sign up for this web class a special fast action one-off bonus. A changeability coaching call with us.
You know, I went through years where I studied and tried these things out and gradually gained the experience of knowing what works best together and the quickest way of doing it. But you won't have to do that because we're giving those 10 people a coaching session with us. If you want it, and we think you will, then this coaching session is going to make it faster and easier for you to do that. How come? Well, it'll kickstart the process for you of setting your goals. And on the Changeability call, we'll talk about your vision and clarify your goals and get you going on this amazing adventure. Now, you might be thinking, well, I don't know if I can really use this bonus because I don't actually know yet what my vision is or exactly what I want. Well, the truth is you might not know right at this moment. In fact, most people don't know what they want because clarifying and getting crystal clear about what you want is something that most people haven't really done before in their life. But it is the first crucial step, and having this bonus will make sure you do it. That's the accountability bit, if you like, of it. And don't worry about not knowing what to do because we'll have the call after you've been through the first couple of weeks. So you'll have been through the sections on your vision and goals and you'll be well primed for making the most of our session.
So what is the value of a coaching call with us?
Wow.
I would say priceless, of course. Absolutely priceless.
Big ourselves up, why not?
Okay, so maybe not priceless, but certainly worth a huge amount of money, and we valued that at £297. So what you're going to get is the 10-week Changeability Goals and Mind Management Masterclass, 997 value, the Changeability Tools with a 297 value, the Mind Management Success with a 97 value, Stickability with a 97 value, Vision Setting Masterclass, 97 value, the Changeability Coaching call for the first 10 only with a value of £297. Total value £1,882.
Whew. Well, I hope you're getting all that. I really do. So what happens next? Well, we would love you to click that Changeability Blueprint button below in the Offers tab, or you could open up a browser window and go to brilliantlivingHQ.thrivecart.com/changeability
-success-blueprint.
I'm glad you did that because I was forgetting what it was.
When you hit that Changeability Blueprint button, it's a lot easier to do that in the Offers tab. This takes you to our checkout page where you see in front of you there, where you'll see this. All you need to do is just fill in your details to complete your order and hit that large orange complete order button. And you'll go straight through to this thanks for purchasing page to confirm you're in. Now, we deliver this course through something called Teachable, which is an online platform for delivering our content. So you just click on the blue link, which you can see at the bottom of that screen there, to complete the registration for Teachable. And this takes you to Teachable, where you click on the Enroll in Course for Free button. Have applied the discount so you don't have to pay Teachable again because you now have paid obviously already. You'll also get an email confirming it and your password, and you'll be able to log in at that next screen to log into the CSB site where you'll find everything you need. If by any chance you have any questions, you can email us at hello@brilliantlivingHQ.com, where we can answer any of your questions. Simple as that. So get started now by clicking the Changeability Success Blueprint button for just £197. That's about $270. And when you click on the button below, you can go to where we've just set out. If you're outside of the UK, it should let you know what it will actually cost in your currency.
Now, the thing is that habits are really hard to change. So we could leave this webinar right now and go and enjoy the rest of the day. We already know about mind management, but this isn't actually about us. This is about you. If you leave now, you might think you learned some cool stuff, heard some stories, but our guess is that by morning, tomorrow, you'll already have slipped back into your normal routine. Do you think that's right? You just do what you've always done. That's what most people do, but that's not what's going to achieve your goals for you. But because we're here as your friends and want to be your mentors, then we're not going to let you go back to your old habits. We're going to make sure that you're successful by breaking them. The real power of mind management is to break old habits and replace them with new, empowering ones. If you want real, lasting change, you need repeated exposure to the full system, and that's exactly what you're going to get when you invest today.
Over the years, we've found there are two kinds of people. Those who take action and those who are awfully good at making excuses. You can't be both. If you're the one making excuses, well, I hate to say it, but I think you're going to have a really hard time achieving your goals and transforming your life. But the good news is that you get to choose. In this moment, you can choose which type of person you're going to be. Are you an action taker or an excuser? Don't be someone who makes excuses. Be someone who achieves your goals.
Can you see yourself doing this? Mel did, and here's what she's got to say about it.
My name is Mel and I'm from England. Life for me was very different to what it is now. I was cleaning in a school for quite a while, for a number of years. And I've then realised that actually I don't want to be doing that anymore, and I want to go by myself and go self-employed as a self-employed cleaner. The main thing I didn't like about my job was the money. The money was not what I wanted to earn. So I wanted to earn more money, I wanted to spend more time with my family and spend more time at home, which I can now do because I've now changed my job. Changeability made me realise what is out there and what I could achieve with changing my job, and it also made me realise that I could actually do it. It made me rethink what I want in life, and it showed me how to get what I want. I would say definitely go for it. I would definitely recommend Changeability to my best friend, and I would tell her to go with your heart and just to do what you need to do and just do it. It gave me confidence, gave me self-esteem, made me think about what I want to do. Doing checklists were a major part of my decision because you do all the pros and cons of what you want to do, and the pros outweighed the cons majorly. So, and then you just think, yeah, let's just go and do it. And here I am. Life is brilliant. I'm loving what I'm doing. I'm loving my job. I'm having more time at home. I'm earning more money. I'm having more time with my son, my family. And I'm just loving my job and loving my work, which has never ever happened before. Yeah, I was, but when I left my previous job, there was a lot of people that said, could you come and clean for me? Which then made me think, actually, this is the right thing to do. So I started cleaning for them, and then the rest was just word of mouth, and everyone spread the word, and now I've got a full week. Life is fantastic. Thank you to Changeability. Can I have a little think?
Yeah. Oh, I love Mel.
Makes me laugh every time I see it. It's so good. So Let's paint a picture of where I was before I started with my management. I was struggling with achieving my goals. There was a lot I had achieved, but I wanted more or rather different. But I wasn't able to make the lifestyle and career changes that I wanted. Things were hard because I had that "is this it" feeling gnawing away at me, and I really didn't want this to be it. I felt frustrated that I didn't feel in control of how I spent much of my time, and I wanted more from my life. Does that sound familiar? Does that sound familiar to you? But now I want you to get a vision of what life could be like. Since understanding this mind management stuff and learning and practicing the changeability techniques, I feel I've been able to take so much more control of my life. It doesn't mean that everything is always wonderful, but it does mean that I know what to do to achieve my goals and how to make the changes that I want. What would that look like for you? When you take charge and make it happen, when you achieve your goals and things are amazing, can you imagine what that would be like? Here's what Tom had to say about it and about changeability.
My name's Tom Boother. I am from Ipswich, which is in Suffolk in the UK. I work as a speaker and company trainer, and I talk about my hobby, which is very long distance running. The furthest I've run in one go is 145 miles, and the longest run I've ever done is from Land's End to John O'Groats, which is 862 miles. I think there's always times in our lives when we're not happy with what we're doing, whether it's work or outside of work. And it's only us deep down who know that at the time of it. And we've got to make a decision at that time. And the best thing to do is to find a course on changeability. And that's where changeability really, really is brilliant. It helped me run from Land's End to John O'Groats. I know my legs did part of the work and some of my team did the work, but having read your book and watched your videos, what I found is that, number one, understanding that it's all about a vision. You need to know what you want to achieve if you're ever going to get there. I think number two is knowing that what gets in our way is often our brains, and knowing that's the same for everyone gives some reassurance that it's not just my problem. And number three, I think, is understanding that you need goals, and when you hit your mini goals you get closer and closer to your big overarching goal. The worst thing is, if you're sitting on the fence with changeability, is not doing anything, because you're just going to stay on that fence maybe for 6 months, a year, 5 years. You may as well just get on, buy the course and start straight away. The lovely thing about it is, being videos, you can do it anywhere you want, whenever you want, and it's really, really simple. Do it without a shadow of a doubt. Just really realise that if you don't change, nothing will happen. So therefore, what's the worst thing changeability could do is move you from where you are at that moment.
Now we want you to know something about us. We're nothing special. We don't have any supernatural gifts or anything. I struggled with achieving my goals and mind management. And that's what I love about this system. I don't have to worry about that anymore. I've known the fear of failure and actual failure plenty of times in my life. I've known the gnawing frustration of wanting things to change so much, and the disappointment when nothing does change because I hadn't seen my goals through, so life just carried on in the same way. The frustration of wanting that one thing to change. Catherine and I spent years of trial and error to discover what was getting in the way and how to overcome it. And you can either go and do it the hard way and go and figure out yourself, or just do what I, Catherine and others did, like Tom and Yolana and Mel there. You can just follow our system and do it. It just works. It's true, I'm nothing special. Well, everyone is special, but you know what I mean. I'm just a normal person, just like you, and so are the others you've heard about. And if we can do it, I promise you, you can do it too.
If you're still on the fence, now is the time to click that button, and remember, there is no risk. We've got 100% money back guarantee, but the only way for you to know if this is right for you is to get started right now and to get your account by clicking that button now. And we just want to thank you so much for being here with us today. It's been such a pleasure and a privilege to share this time with you. And we just can't wait to see you inside the Changeability Success Blueprint and to feature you as one of our success stories.
Until then.